Hello, welcome back. It's so good to see you. So today we are going to be reading once again from my grandmother's memoir. And I'm so excited to get into it because I feel like it's been a while since I've read from it. So let's just go ahead and get started. We are on chapter 14, and that is titled Catechism. Yeah. So it says, Daddy would hitch the horse to the stone boat, which was a long wood affair with just a floorboard and sides. The stone boat was for picking up rocks in the summertime, of which there were plenty. In the wintertime, it would sort of glide over the top of the snow and ice. I had all my life thought that this was called a stone bolt, until I read it in a book of poems by Robert Frost called A Star in a Stone Boat. She thought it was called stone bolt, and it's called stone boat. Still don't know what that is. I'll have to look it up. Daddy would hitch it up to the horse, and away we would go to town on Saturday mornings. That was the only way to get there, as our long driveway was not plowed. My stomach's going to be growling in this video. I haven't eaten today. Only country roads were plowed back then. This was a really cold ride. We kids were so embarrassed because nobody else got to town that way. But we lived 4 miles from town, and it was either walk or the stone boat. And of course, we chose the stone boat. My parents were quite religious. We said our prayers every night. We went to catechism on Saturdays when we could, and we always went to church on Sundays if at all possible. We always said the rosary every night during Lent. I did not like Father John Kroll, who was our pastor. He taught our catechism on Saturdays, and then, when we went to school in town, catechism was on one of the weekdays. Okay. One time, Father Kroll was showing us kids how to genuflect. And I had to demonstrate to the whole class. Of course, I knelt down on my left knee instead of my right knee, and he made me do it over and over and over again without telling me what I was doing wrong. It was so embarrassing. The other kids in class all laughed. Why would he do that? Sorry, my stomach's going to growl. Why would he do that? Like, just tell the kid what they're doing wrong. Like, ugh. Anyway, when we were children, the entire Mass was said in Latin. Yikes. Throughout Mass, the priest would have his back to the congregation. This was really hard to follow. I remember going to Catholic church when I was a kid. It was the worst. The worst. I hated it. I've been to other churches as well. Much better than Catholic churches. Not speaking negatively about it, just as a child having to go to Catholic church, not enjoyable. Not enjoyable at all. I really should have ate before this video. But if I would have ate, then you would still hear stomach sounds, because that's just telling you my stomach is trying to get its own weird, like, ASMR channel. You know? It just is constantly making noise every time I record. We're going to ignore it and go on with the video. So, We also used to have we also used to have to wear hats or a head covering of some kind when we went to church. We were used to this, so we did not mind it. Nobody wears a hat anymore, except maybe on Easter. We did not wear slacks or jeans to church either. And there's a picture here. You're not going to be able to see it, but I'll show it to you. It says, I am in the second row from the bottom in the communion picture. Okay, chapter 15. A hole in the ground. We had a hole in the ground outside the bedroom window in which we kept butter and milk. Now, I guess because this was like before refrigerators and like they didn't have electricity or anything like that, so yeah. In the summertime, it was cooler there. It wasn't very deep, but things stayed remarkably cool in it. This was on the north side of the house. Of course, we didn't have electricity in those days. I don't remember ever having an icebox. An icebox. Okay. When company came to visit, refreshments were always served. This usually consisted of a lunch of some kind with bread, butter, sometimes sandwiches, cookies, and berry sauce that Mom had canned during the summer. We had a matching set of a big bowl and then 6 smaller bowls that came with it to serve the berry sauce. These sets are in the antique stores now. So, we would have to hand the butter from the hole in the ground through the bedroom window, and Mom would cover it with a dish towel so no one would know. But they all knew, and probably did the same thing themselves. If they had the good sense to. We would always serve the best we had, and so did everyone else when we came to visit. My brother and I were talking about old times recently, and he asked if I remembered how we used to hide when we saw company coming. Walking up the road, everyone walked in those days. Being we had such a long driveway, we would have plenty of time to fly around and start cleaning. If the house was particularly messy that day, or if it was someone Mom didn't want to see that day, we would hide in the closet. After they had knocked a few times, they would leave, and that would take care of that. We would always think they must have heard us kids giggling because we just couldn't help it, but nobody ever said anything. We didn't exactly put on airs. What? How could you, with a hole in the ground to keep things cold outside the bedroom window, put on airs? Oh my gosh, I love it. Mom and Daddy were so proud. We never talked about things that we didn't have, like it didn't matter a thing in the world to us, but really inside it mattered so much. Chapter 16. Remedies and Cure-Alls. I think how frightening it must have been for our mother and father when one of us kids got sick. They must have been terrified, not always able to get to a doctor, and being able to afford one, for that matter. Still, when my sister Rosamond had pains in her abdomen. They took her to a physician. She had some type of intrauterine surgery, and they removed her appendix at the same time. Thank heavens they didn't remove her. Oh, thank heavens they didn't wait until it was too late. I guess they just had to determine when a child was sick enough to go to a doctor. What a frightening responsibility this must have been. This same sister had her tonsils removed when she was about 6 years old. I remember one day when Daddy was cutting wood with an axe and accidentally cut his leg. He had a huge, deep wound. Mom washed it out and put bandages on it. It healed in time, but he really needed professional care for that wound. I don't know if he ever went to the doctor for this. One time, when Gail was sliding down the roof of the pig house, she got a big sliver in her foot. Yikes. Mom had to take it out, and the only thing she had to give my sister was the promise of 2 lemon drops if she would hold still while Mom got the splinter out. She knew Gail would look forward to the candy, and it might ease the pain somewhat. Oh, how that must have hurt both my mom and my sister. Gail had several other accidents. One day, one of us kids was swinging an old tea kettle around, and it hit her in the head. And then another time she fell off the porch and nearly put her eye out with a stick that was holding up a plant in a pot. Yikes. I remember one time when we were all standing around the heater in the living room. I burned my hand terribly and still have the scar from it. I got a pan of cold water from the kitchen and put my hand in it, and it felt pretty good. Then Mom asked what happened. She put some butter and grease on it. That was the acceptable procedure for a bad burn in those days. Once my sister Rosamond and Mom were canning tomatoes, and a jar of boiling hot liquid exploded and broke all over Rosamond's feet, burning it badly. I don't think she went to the doctor for that. Once, Mom cut her hand while opening a coffee can. She opened cans of stuff with a knife because she didn't have a can opener. She fainted and we didn't know what to do. Oh my gosh. We tried to get her to drink some water, the worst thing we could have done. We were so afraid. Finally, she came around and woke up, and we were so happy that she was all right. My gosh. Another time, Mom was sewing on her old threadle sewing machine, and she sewed right through her fingernail. Oh my God, ouch. I don't know how she got the needle out. Oh, probably with a pair of pliers. Yikes. When I was about 10 years old, I developed an abscess on one of my teeth. What? Okay, Mom took me to the dentist. I had never been to the dentist and was really scared. It didn't hurt at all. My face was really numb afterwards, and Mom bought me an ice cream cone. Of course, we all had the measles, mumps, and chicken pox, the usual. I had the chicken pox when I was a kid, because I don't think that they had a vaccine back then. But yeah, I don't think people get it too much now. I don't think it's really a thing. If we had a really bad cold, Mom would make us a hot toddy, which consisted of hot water, sugar, and a small amount of whiskey. If we were constipated, we would get molasses stirred into a glass of water. I waited until I was nearly 26 years old to get scarlet fever. Our daughter Kathy, that's my mom, had it at the same time. I think one of the little girls had it too. Wendell was in Okinawa. The doctor brought us medicine and we were quarantined for about a week. We were miserable and our tongues were bright purple. I went back to work too soon afterward and had a setback, but soon we were back to normal. I remember my mom telling me that story. She was basically locked into a room with my grandma for like a week, I think. Yeah. I remember my mom used to get migraine headaches. Those are the worst. But she never took any medication for it or anything, except in later years. She said the headaches would go away if she would put her feet in the oven, which would be warm. What? You got a migraine, put your feet in a warm oven? I don't know about that. I think this probably worked for her. I have had migraines off and on since I was in my early 40s, but I finally took medication for this and it helped me amazingly. As a last note on cure-alls, when all else failed, I would tell my children, don't forget what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Now I've got the Kanye West song in my head. Okay, chapter 17, rationing. During wartime, we used rationing books for coffee, sugar, gas, and tires. We probably had to use them for other things too, but I don't remember if we did. Stamps were bought at the schoolhouse, which we had to sign up for. They couldn't believe that Mom's middle name was Marie Antoinette when she wrote it down. We had tokens of red, green, and blue colors. They were issued on the basis of how large families were, and hers was quite large. They were made of compressed cardboard paper. During World War II, which Wendell's father was in, a recipient of the Purple Heart. That's my great-grandpa, Charlie. We would have blackouts. If we were in school, we would have to get under the desks and be quiet. These were done as a drill. We also had blackouts at night sometimes, and would have to hang blankets in the windows so no light would shine through. Can you imagine having to practice that, even at home? What? How scary, I think. Okay, chapter 18. How long has this been going? Okay, we still got time. Okay, chapter 18. Pawnhoss. Pawnhaas. Pawnhoss. I guess we're about to find out what that is. Oh. Okay, when hog butchering time came. Hog butchering time. It's hog butchering time. I don't like that. We didn't have any hogs. Okay? So my aunt and uncle would send us the pig's head just sitting in a cardboard box like it was looking at us over the side of the box. It's hog butchering time, so their aunt would send them not a whole hog, just the hog's head in a box. Nice. Sometimes there would be a couple of small jars of wild plum jelly too. in the same box. Mom would take the head and clean it and boil it for a long time in a big pot on the stove. Then it was all falling apart and had cooled. We put our hands in the pot to fish out any small bones or teeth or what have you. Oh gosh, I really hated this part of the job. My mom made something called Pawnhoss out of it. I guess it was a kind of sausage. Even she doesn't know what it is. I think it had a lot of sage in it for flavoring. I heard this described recently in an inexpensive dish to feed those who pitched in during the pig butchering season, November through March. Okay. It is most well known as a simple survival dish made of leftover pork pieces suspended in cornmeal. That just sounds so gross. Without it, I don't know if we would have survived. Why couldn't her aunt send a whole pig? Like, why just the head? That makes me mad. It seemed in winter that we had this every morning for breakfast. I often wondered in later years just what Mom thought when she would see that pig head looking over the side of the box and know all the work she had to do to prepare it so that we could eat it. She may have thought, well, it is something to feed my family. But sometimes I think she may have thought, why couldn't they for once send a nice ham or some chops or something? That's what I'm talking. Like, what? And sometimes I wonder about that too. Mostly I think she was grateful though. Mom would also make blood sausage. She wouldn't catch the blood from the pig when it was being butchered. She told my grandmother that she had to do that. What? Okay, I don't know what else went into the sausage, but she used the intestines for casings. Oh, gross. It tasted good anyway, and no part of the pig could be wasted. Around the holidays, recently I saw pig heads in the meat department at Walmart. I ain't never seen nothing like that at Walmart. Maybe they do and I just don't look. I mean, I don't look at the meat. If you were not prepared for it, it was quite a shock. Yeah, I would think so. Ooh, chapter 19, holidays. Yes. Okay, I love holidays. Okay, on Easter. Oh, Easter's coming up and we're reading about Easter. Alright, on Easter, my two older sisters would get to stay up and help Mom with our Easter baskets. The girls had already been to town to pick up what candy they thought was the best to fill the Easter baskets with. Mom would open a jar of grape juice that she had canned, and I would lie in bed with the little kids. Oh, so they would get grape juice if they stayed in their room. Okay. They would go to sleep, but I could not, and I heard my sisters and Mom whispering and giggling and filling the baskets. I was so jealous. Okay, here's a picture. It's also going to be hard. It says, I made these for the girls to show the kind of baskets we used to make at Easter. So this little basket in her hand is kind of like a little replica of one that she had when she was a kid. She always used to make us Easter baskets as well. Oh, I miss her. Okay. Mom made the Easter baskets out of round oatmeal boxes. I'm sorry. I just had a little breakdown. It's just, I really miss her. I remember spending holidays with her, like every holiday. I mean, she's been gone for years, but I still miss her, you know? Okay. Let's get on with the story. So, Mom, sorry, hold on. Now my nose is like all stuffy from crying. Okay. Sorry. Mom made the Easter baskets out of round oatmeal boxes. They were covered with wallpaper pasted on. I think the handles must have been sewed on, because they sure were sturdy. We carried them around for at least a week, and the eggs never spoiled. They were all different and pretty, and we loved them. I kept hoping that the next year I would be big enough to stay up and help, but that time never came. That's sad. All of a sudden it seemed like we were all big, and we all got to stay up. Sometimes Mom made kolaches, which were a sweet roll with preserves in the middle, not like the kolaches they have now with sausage and cheese filling. I would love to have a kolache filled with a sweet roll filled with preserves, because I can't eat kolaches now because there's just like meat and cheese in there. Gross. But that sounds amazing. Mom would also make hot cross buns for Easter. Now I'm hearing we learned like hot cross buns on the recorder. Hot cross buns, hot cross buns. Okay. Let's see. Okay. They were kind of sweet rolls with icing in the shape of a cross in the middle. They were really good. On Easter Sunday, we were all ready to go to church when we saw a big bull in the yard. We were afraid to go out to the car, but Daddy walked up to the bull and chased him away. I thought my dad was so brave. Yeah, I'd be terrified if there was just a massive bull in our front yard. Like, what? Okay. On the 4th of July, we would go to town, usually in the afternoon or evening. Daddy would keep us on pins and needles all day, and then finally, when it would start getting late, he would say, "Do you want to go to the celebration?" Oh boy, did we ever want to go to the celebration. They would have a marching band. Daddy especially liked the drums. I liked the drums too. It couldn't have been much of a parade because it was such a small town. There would be fireworks, and we loved those. Mom liked the little sparklers that kids would wave around. We really enjoyed the 4th of July and the fireworks. On Valentine's Day, there would be a big decorated box that everybody would put their Valentines into at school. Then some lucky person got to pass them out. We would have some refreshments too. it's cute that they would have little Valentine's Day parties back then as well, you know. We would usually have a Halloween party at school. The older boys and girls would set it up in the basement. Oh yeah, because her school was just like one room. So they would blindfold us and we would walk by the table where they had a bowl of peeled grapes and said it was eyeballs. We would put our hands in it and it really felt like we thought eyeballs would feel. Gross. I don't remember what else we had to touch. Only the memory of the eyeballs stayed with me. And we would be wonderfully afraid. Meantime, there would be howls and growls that scared us. I don't think we had any costumes. Of course, there were always refreshments served. At home, we would make popcorn balls and sometimes taffy. I love taffy. We would have Christmas plays at school. One time, Marilyn, Rosamond, and I all dressed with little jackets made out of plaid Christmas fabric. They were beautiful. Mom made them, of course. Most of us would have parts in a play that we would have to memorize and perform. I don't remember if we exchanged names at school. Christmas plays were always at night, and every family would come carrying a lantern for light since the school didn't have any electricity. At Christmas, we would always have 2 weeks off from school. We so looked forward to this. My kids too. To celebrate Thanksgiving or Christmas, we would have roast chicken with stuffing. We would have mashed potatoes and gravy and maybe some corn. Mom cut the corn off of the cob and dried it in the sun, and that way it would keep a long time. Then she would cook it with water, and it had such a good nutty taste. Never heard of corn described that way. I think this must have been something the Indians did a long time ago. We would have pie for dessert. At the end of the school year, we would have a picnic. Everybody brought food, and we played games, and the winners got prizes. We always had potato salad, hot dogs, and regular picnic fare. We would have nectar, which was a drink which had to be mixed with water and sugar. This had a unique taste. It was so good. It was sort of like today's Kool-Aid, but it was liquid and sold in a bottle. It's funny because Kool-Aid is sold like that as well now too. I mean, they do have the powder, but they also sell it in the liquid form. We all knew that after the picnic, we would have the whole glorious summer off of school. Summer seemed to last forever in those days. Of course, we always had plenty to do on the farm, but I got a lot of reading done too. On our birthdays, Mom would always try to make things special for us. I don't remember whether we usually had birthday cakes or not. I'm sure if Mom had the ingredients, there would be birthday cakes. A favorite gift would be a plate that was just ours and nobody else's. One time, Mom made a picture for me for my birthday. This is what she did. She would put a holy card in the bottom of a matchbox and then fill it with plaster and put a little hook on the back to hang it up with. I had it setting next to my place at the table. The plaster wasn't dry yet, but I wanted it close to me. While we were eating, Daddy lifted his coffee cup to drink. He had his elbow on the table at the time. I don't think he even noticed that the picture was there or that he had smashed it. And of course, I couldn't say anything about it. It was too late to save it. Mom made me another picture soon after. Aww. Well, that was nice that her mom replaced the picture. Anyway, so that's where I'm going to leave it. The next chapter is titled Christmas, the best time of the year. So I can't wait to read about what her Christmases were like. Anyway, I really hope that you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.